Good morning. This is Rosemary, and this is the Lightwalker's Path podcast. I'm your host and your guide, Rosemary DiTrolio. This is a place to find your soul's purpose, hear enlightening conversation, and hear inspirational guests like today's guest, Michelle Sammarco of Luminosa Mediumship, Massage, and Sound. Michelle is a licensed body worker and therapist, as well as a natural, I should say, bodywork therapist, as well as a natural intuitive and medium located in Warren County, New Jersey. In addition to helping people, she has a strong, unique bond with animals and is also trained in equine sports massage, which I think is super cool. So, Michelle, nice to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm well, Rosemary. Thank you for having me on. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, I'm so excited. And I want to tell people that are listening today that Michelle is also a person I go to for massage therapy, and she's phenomenal. And honestly,
Thank
when you
you.
lay in her beautiful massage room, I want to knock out. It's so relaxing and so therapeutic to me. And I certainly appreciate what you do, and I wish everyone can experience it with you.
Thank you very much. I feel like everybody with a body could use some
Everybody.
massage and or body work. We don't really tend to
Yes,
ourselves enough. So thank you. I
absolutely.
appreciate that. It's my
Absolutely.
happiness to help.
It's wonderful. So I'm going to ask you how long you've been working with massage. I know you were trained in it a while ago, a long time ago, but how many years have you had working with massage and clients?
8 years. I started off slowly, and in the very beginning, I was actually in the 9 to 5 working world. I was in telecommunications as a project manager.
Okay.
And then, with the onset of COVID, it kind of pushed my
Yes.
spiritual business a little more to the forefront, which I'm
Yeah.
absolutely grateful for, because, it can be hard to give up that regular every
Oh,
2 week paycheck
absolutely.
that just gets, direct deposited into your
Oh
account.
my
So,
gosh. And it's so funny how I feel life pushes us in the directions that we need to be.
yes,
If we're going one way and universe is like, oh no, you're supposed to be doing this, you'll be pulled that other way. And you don't know why sometimes things happen, but it happens
absolutely.
because we're really meant to help other people in this world. And I really believe those of us that are healers, we're
Mm.
called. We're called to do what we do. And I know that you also do mediumship work and you call yourself a natural intuitive, which I am as
Mhm.
well. So I'm going to ask you, did you have these gifts early when you were growing up? Did you feel you had something that you couldn't explain or that other people didn't know? You thought everybody had?
Yes, absolutely. I would always get,
Mhm.
I want to say, little bits of information that I would feel like I knew without them telling me in any given situation, whether it was when I was
Me
much younger
too.
or even as I grew up in the working world, like we were just speaking about, there were certain,
Yes,
I'll say gifts and talents, and they're gifts and talents that I believe each and every one of us has.
totally. I do.
It's just that for some of us, we're used to tuning in a little
Yeah.
better, we're a little more in touch with it. So I think everyone can do this. And I think I was just a little more in touch with it. And once you begin, as you know,
Yes,
to trust in yourself and to honestly say the weird things sometimes. To you, it seems weird. To other people, it can make complete and total sense. And that's the aha moment. That's what makes me keep going, you know?
absolutely. I've always found too that sometimes I'm kind of guided for what to say at a certain time, and I'm also
Yes.
told not to say what I'm not supposed to say. So when I'm
Yes.
working on a client and I'm doing Reiki or intuitive work or even my angel communication readings, I'm told when to say it and when to like shut my mouth because there's certain things that
Yes.
that I'm held back because the person's supposed to figure it out. So do you find in your experience that has happened where you just know like you get this urge where you got to just say it?
Yeah, so when I find that that keeps, I say that it keeps pinging you.
Yes.
Sometimes it's almost like somebody just tapping
Oh,
you on the
yes.
shoulder.
Yes.
I always like to make sure that it's something that's going to uplift them or help them in a
Absolutely.
certain way. There's always a good way to deliver the information, no
I
matter
believe
what it
that.
is, or to lay the path so that they can
Right.
come to the conclusion that they are meant to come to, because it's all about free will and them living their
Awesome.
lives the
Absolutely.
way that they're meant to and they're supposed to. But yes, I do get that say it, say it, say it. It becomes
Yeah,
so
yeah.
overwhelming,
Tell me, I'll say
that
it.
you just come out with it, you know?
Yeah, and I love too that you're on the same like I'm on the same understanding that it's always free will, and that if
Yes.
there's something that comes through to me that I'm told about that I know I have to say, I always will say, have you checked this? Or did you check with your doctor on this? I will never give someone a frightening bit of information, but I'll just lead them to make the next logical step to check something out. And I'm always told something, right? But it's also discerning when to say something or how to say it that makes us compassionate with our clients. So I totally agree with that.
Yes. One thing I do is I actually keep a notepad. It's just a scribble pad. So when I do
Mhm.
readings, sometimes as the person is speaking, I'll get things
Yeah.
about them. And you don't want to interrupt them. You want to make sure that they feel seen and heard, but you also want to make sure you get them the message and deliver it in the way that best suits them. So maybe they say something that kind of cues up what I've just, kind of scribbled down in my notes, and I'll look down to the notes and say, "Oh, that's right." You
Yeah,
know.
yes, I love that. So when you do your mediumship or intuitive work, like I do mine differently. Like I channel directly and I write it down before I meet with my client. And then I do the session and then I get more. So like there's different ways to work. When a client comes to you for either mediumship or intuitive work, what is your process with your client?
My process starts before the client gets there. So usually
Mhm.
what I do is I'm very big on setting intention, lighting a
Mhm.
candle, calling on my ancestors, their ancestors,
Yeah.
God, spirit, universe, all that is good to
Yeah.
help me with this person and to give them what's for their best and highest good, whatever that may be. So I start off beforehand. And sometimes, so if I already have a connection with
Yeah.
someone. For instance, we know each other, we've seen each other a few times, whether it's out and about or here for
Mhm.
work. Um, I may start getting a few things. That's why I keep the paper
Mhm.
handy. I just write it down because I
Yeah.
don't want to miss anything for you.
Yes, I love
Um,
that. I
but
love
then when
that.
our reading starts or our work is about to start, I still believe in asking for permission,
Absolutely.
even though
Yes.
by way of our appointment and you coming and us
Yes.
consenting to this, I like to get your express permission to feel into what's going on.
Yeah, I love that as well. And I do that when a client comes to me, I'll say, if I get any messages while I'm working on you, are you open to it? And I always say, Reiki is only energy. However, because I'm an angelic channel and a Reiki master teacher, sometimes things come in. And if you
Mhm.
would like to know, I will present it to you. And they'll always say, oh, yeah, yeah. In fact, people get disappointed sometimes when I don't say, because they want to know.
Yes.
So that's just, something unique to you and I that we both can feel and do.
Hmm.
So what are some of the, like, what would you say when you have a client that really stuck in your mind as, wow, I really helped this person? Can
Hmm.
you speak on a situation where you felt that you really made a difference?
Okay. I can think of one. It's a very touchy topic, for instance. So whenever there's life and death, and maybe somebody that is getting ready to transition, whether the person getting the reading knows the other
Yeah.
individual is ready to transition or not, it's
Mm.
in the delivery. And
Yeah.
sometimes I don't know it. For instance, there was one client. To answer your question, that I was able to give an exact date to.
Oh,
But
wow.
I didn't. She had asked the question about a family member, with respect to transitioning. And I had actually given this reading, I want to say, toward the end of October,
Yeah.
the year before the person had passed away. And
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily know that it was set in stone, but it was this date that had come up. At first I got a
Yeah.
window.
Yes.
Um, and the window was it was going to be the end of the year. And to me, that means 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, because
Right.
sometimes what if the person hasn't decided they want to go yet?
Yes.
It's
That's
their
right.
free will also.
Hmm.
But we've all had individuals in our family that have passed. We're of a certain age at this point. So we've had to plan things and to try and get ourselves into that mental mindset
Yes. Yeah.
of I can handle this. So I felt that that was my purpose. It was to help her be able to plan.
Here.
So I kind of cushion
Yeah.
it with, this is a transition that we're all going to go through. This is the
Yes.
inevitable. It's just our next
Part
journey.
of it.
It's Yeah, it's the
Yes.
next place. And it turned out I gave her a reading after that, and it turned out that he passed away on an exact date that I was
Wow.
able to give
That's
them. So
amazing.
it's things like that. Now I'm not saying, please come to me and I'll tell you when your
Yeah.
day is kind of thing.
I don't
I
want to
really look at
know.
I look at that as a happenstance, to be
Yes.
honest. I can get a general
Yeah.
time frame, but honestly, if I get no time frame, or if I get no answer,
You're not
I'm
supposed to
perfectly
know.
okay telling them I'm not getting anything
Yeah.
for that,
And
you know?
sometimes, again, like you're saying, there's that element of free will. We have certain exit
Mhm.
points, like there's three usually, and then sometimes it's like the final destination time.
Yes.
So we have different times that we are able to cross over if we feel that we're ready.
Mhm.
I know when my father passed, I didn't want to know anything until I told my angels, tell me about a few days before, a week before, so I could prepare. I don't want to know before then because I know he's going to go. I just don't want that in my head because I
Right.
want it to be positive with him. And within
Yes.
a week, I was on the highway and a bird killed itself on my window. And I went, okay, there's a sign.
Hmm.
The next thing I was told, it'll be within this week. So I knew exactly. And then when it got closer, they'll say, it'll be on this day. So I
Hmm.
knew like when to write my eulogy and when to like prepare
Yes.
my sister by saying, listen, I think we should write our eulogies. Why? Why? Do you know
Mhm.
something? Oh, no, I don't know anything. I think we should do it. And so she did it without that stress involved of like, because I knew when
Right.
and I didn't want to upset my sister, and when I was a kid, I lost my oldest sister, so there's a lot of trauma
Okay.
early on from losing my oldest sister that my sister carries and that my parents carried. So I had to be really careful with like what I would say.
Yes.
But I knew. And then dad gave me messages for a year. I would get
Wow.
constant messages from dad. He'd show me stuff on the other side. He'd tell me things that I checked with mom that we verified. But again, I'm not a medium. I've been told by a lot of mediums that I'm a medium. I don't want to be a medium.
Sometimes we don't get a choice, Rosemary.
I send them to other people. But I know I have those abilities. I just don't
Mhm.
choose to use them in this lifetime.
Okay.
So anyway, that's my shtick. Okay.
That's the fun part. Sometimes we have many gifts,
Yeah,
I've been trained in reading Akashic records and
I do
healing
that.
touch, similar
Mhm.
to Reiki, all of the things, it's all in the process of kind of
Yes.
finding where you want to be, where you're supposed to be.
Yes.
So
Where you're
it's
supposed. Yes.
work all the gifts.
And not everybody's meant to be a hands-on healer either. So I've trained people to use Reiki for their own spiritual growth. I did not want to ever
Mhm.
work on people, but I showed them the steps of how to do it. But I said, if you're not called to do this, you will know. Or if you
Mhm.
start getting sick when you're doing body work, then you're
Right.
not meant to do this because you have to ground and clear and understand the energy of how to use it. And not
Yes.
everybody's meant to do certain things.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I always say use your intuition, see what you're called to do.
Absolutely. That's where it starts right there. It's that little
Yeah.
voice, as long as
There
it
you go.
doesn't tell you to burn things, you're
No,
okay.
right? Do something mean, right? Absolutely. Oh my God. So I know that you have a really good connection with dogs and animals and
Oh,
so
yes.
I'm assuming you've always had this. Am I right?
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so. I would say animals and small children, if
Yes,
that
me
makes
too.
sense.
Me
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I always had, well, I was I was a school teacher for many years.
yes.
And I had little, up to third grade, I most of my career. But I've always
Hmm.
had this weird thing with like animals coming out of the woods and looking at me, or a little bird allows me to pet it on top of the head, or
Yes.
I pet a bumblebee on the back. Like I've had these weird animal things.
Hmm.
I held a hummingbird in my hands.
Yep, yep.
So yeah, so tell me about your connection with animals. What are some of the unique things that you have experienced?
Well, I feel like there are so many things from animals with friends and family to, I want to say, your average forest creature.
Yes.
I think when you have a certain inner vibration, and honestly, I do have a love for all of God's creations and the earth and just being in the
Too.
forest. I would say one of my most special situations is there is a deer that has befriended me here. You've seen
I was
you've
going to
seen
just
them all
mention the deer. That
just
was
waiting.
incredible.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
always like to tell everybody, please be very careful and very mindful because I think long before I had been in this home, um, I feel like my property has a big X through it in the best way because animals, as they migrate for the evening, they all wind up coming through. You
Yeah.
know what I mean, in one way or another.
Nation pet.
And I feel like it's a very, very fun, very cool X marks the spot for where they want to be, and they seem to be afraid, of course, of people, but there are some that just will get pretty close,
It's
you
so
know?
weird. I was going to tell you when I pulled up to your property, you said watch for the deer. There was a
Mhm.
family of 4 or 5 deer there. I
Yeah.
pulled up, I got out of my car. they didn't spook, they didn't run, they just looked at me like, "Hey, how are you?" And they stayed there. I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's incredible." So I'm
Yeah.
like, "These are
They
like
feel.
trained animals. It's amazing." It was
They feel goodness.
incredible.
I truly feel
Yeah,
that they feel goodness. And when you're an energy worker, a light worker, such as the both
yes.
of us, they they know that. And we didn't,
Yeah,
we don't approach quickly. We don't try and go pet
right.
them. I
Right.
purposely don't do that because
Right.
not everybody is as good as us.
Yes.
But yeah, I find that they will look into your eyes, even if for a brief moment. And if they
Yes.
see what they need to
That was
see,
incredible.
they become at ease. I've had them bring their
Yeah.
babies around me in the
Oh,
springtime.
oh
I
God,
sit
that's
out in the grass
beautiful.
eating my lunch,
They're no,
and
it
they
was
get pretty close
amazing. Yeah,
within
I
about
mean,
6 feet.
it was probably like 4 or 5 feet away from them. And they were
Yeah.
just, hello, how are you? It's just such
Mhm.
a comfort. And I was like, this is incredible because I love
Yes.
animals too. And I thought it was a really neat thing to see them.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. So I would say
Yeah.
that's probably one of the most special bonds I have. And I always say that she's adopted me.
Hmm.
I call her Apple.
Okay.
She's the matriarch of her pod, and she
Okay.
comes through a fair amount of the time to the point where I kind of have it timed. I
Yeah.
know when I can look out
Yeah.
and see them and just, spend some time
Yeah.
in their field,
I love that. I love that. Do you also do any kind of animal communication? Because I know you're intuitive. Do you get any hits on what they're thinking or what they want?
I do. I can very much feel when in the presence of that animal. I've not done anything remotely with respect to that. It's just been more, not necessarily for business purpose,
Yeah.
but for
To
just the
know.
purpose of if I call it catch a vibe
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
a little someone, I'll try to tell that to to their parent, to their dog parent, cat
Yes,
parent.
yes, love that. So I'm going to ask you about your own self-care things that keep
Yes.
you centered and grounded and cleared when you need to do what you do. So
Mhm.
tell me some of your things that you love to do to clear yourself or to make sure you're in a good headspace.
I do quite a great many things, so it just kind of depends on how I'm feeling. But
Mhm.
generally speaking, I try to make sure that I eat as cleanly as possible. So I try to do, what goes in comes out.
Energy. Yes.
Yeah, and I want to make sure I'm trying to keep things to minimal ingredients. I drink out of copper cups.
Oh, that's a
I
good
try,
idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
copper, very, very
Yes.
it's from
Energizing.
Ayurveda.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, I also do sound baths. I have a love of the singing bowls, which
Mhm.
actually you can see in the background
Yes.
there. I like the crystal and the Tibetan. I do sound treatments. So I do that for myself.
Yes. I
So I'll
love
give
that.
myself a sound treatment. I'll listen to certain types of music that
Hmm.
happen to resonate with me at that moment. It could be anything, but I think
Yeah.
one of the things we need to do is, we're
Yes.
electrical beings. Drink out of your
Yes.
copper cups, dance to music, move your body, get the lymph
Hmm.
moving,
Hmm.
and just self time. You have to
I
make
love that.
yourself a priority.
Yeah.
You don't always have to be on call as if you were a doctor.
That's right.
We do good work, we do important work, but we're also not going to get called if someone needs an arm attached,
Right.
reattached. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you're let's say having a day and you just want to sit and be and it's sunny out that day, just sit
Yeah,
there
that's
in
what
the
you do.
sun. The
Yeah.
sun is one of the best things that
Oh
you can
my
do for your
gosh.
body.
I
Just
love it.
peace,
I love
quiet,
it.
and having your own
Yeah.
boundaries and foot
Yeah.
baths. I do a lot of foot baths. It really
Yes.
helps with any aches and pains
I believe. Yeah. I
and
love,
spiritual cleansing. So
yes. Just regular baths I love. One of
yes.
my clients slash also a friend, she was telling me about in her Jewish religion, she's Orthodox, and she does these baths that the women do like near their period time or
Yeah.
after for like healing, cleansing. And I'm like, that is
Yeah.
super cool. I'm like, I think even though I wasn't raised that way, I think I like that. I think that's awesome. But
Yeah.
I do a lot of salt baths for cleansing, and
Perfect.
I love going out with no shoes on and going into the woods. Like
Yep.
those things really make my heart happy, and they always
Yeah.
did, even as a child.
Yes. We're from nature. So getting
Yeah.
back to where we're from is
Yeah.
so important. The grounding with bare feet on
Yeah.
the ground, touching trees.
Love it. Yeah.
They're connected. They're connected directly into the earth.
They are. They are. They ground us. It's amazing. I also love, like you were talking about music, Diva Pramal.
Mhm.
Do you ever hear her music?
Yes, I
Oh
have.
my
Yes.
God. Her music is so angelic to me. Like I can listen to
Mhm.
her forever. And years ago when I took yoga,
Mhm.
the teacher played that. I'm like, I fell in love with it. It was
Yeah.
just so calm and so peaceful.
Yes.
I hope.
One of the artists I like is Jay Utal.
Okay, I don't know that one. Okay.
Pardon me.
Okay.
Jaiyuttal.
I'm gonna look that up.
I
Okay.
love things that, as you could tell from the decor of my home
Oh,
office,
beautiful.
it's a very like a Middle Eastern, Indian
Yes.
kind
Love.
of motif that I'm
Yeah.
living on the wrong in the wrong area of the world,
Right.
I believe. You
Yes.
know, so or it was a past life,
Yes.
something to that effect. But I feel like that gentleman's music, he has a beautiful voice. You would almost think it was an Indian man singing.
Oh,
I feel like he just
yeah.
gets it right. He hits a certain
The
so I would say
tone.
look into him, something different,
I'm
you
gonna look.
know?
Yeah, I will definitely look into that. Yeah, because I love that when a certain mood, it's just very cleansing. The vibration of
Yes,
it is very,
yes.
very cleansing. Of course, also like rock music and blues. So I have,
Exactly. Yes. Our likes are, they run the gamut. But you know when your
yeah,
body and your mind know when you need something specific, a specific tone, a
yeah,
specific
total.
resonance, and your body will find that. That's why you flip through the songs. You go from
Yes.
one genre to the next, and sometimes you're like, yeah, this one hits.
Or you get the chilies, like when I hear, like when the angels come in, I get the chilies.
Yes,
But sometimes when you have a certain music, it's like your hair stands on end because it hits a vibratory note in your body that
that's your note.
resonates with you or that you
Yes.
need, and I think that's really interesting. Okay. All right, let's look over here. Okay. What are some of the challenges that you have made it through the other side as a woman, as a person? If you want to share any that you feel you've gained strength from in any ways that you want to share it.
Challenges that I've been able to work through. I would say just getting to the point where I don't know, like, come out of the mediumship closet, so to speak.
Yeah.
You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
like the
believe that's
channeling
a
closet for me. Yes.
yeah, it's a real thing. And there are a lot of people that really very much live in the 9 to 5, and that's part
Mhm.
of the earthly life for a lot of people. But there is life and there are gifts and there are experiences outside of that. So I think just from going from living that life to this life that I'm in now, being more in tune, trying to help others tune in more, trying to help them with their connections to life and animals and maybe things that they feel they can't see, but they
Uh,
can. Like I said,
yeah.
everybody can do it. It's just
Yeah.
working through that. And I want to say um, the doubt or skepticism of the world,
Yeah.
but having a good, healthy skepticism is
Yeah,
great. I'm very
I think so.
skeptical of my own readings and things, especially when you do them for friends, for instance.
Yes.
I already know a lot
It's harder to do them for
about some
people you
people.
know, isn't it? It is.
I'm finding it a little easier. It
Yeah.
was difficult for some really longtime friends at first. I think it was because I would just make myself nervous because it goes
Yeah.
back to that 9 to 5 mindset.
Right.
Produce, produce, produce. Hurry
Right.
up, get it out. Make sure and if you just relax into it, it happens
Right.
wonderfully.
Yes,
So,
I know that was it was my sticking point too sometimes when you first start channeling or I started back in 93, but
mhm.
sometimes it was harder for people that already knew you because they're always thinking, well, did you know that about me already? That's why when I do my angel
Right.
readings, I ask certain questions and I say to my client, I've asked you these things and this is what I know about you. Anything else that comes in the reading is not from these questions, it's from spirit or from your higher, your angels,
Yes.
whatever. And that seems to really help, that
It does. I
I
do the
think it,
same thing. I acknowledge things that I already know. I'll just say,
yeah,
I already know
yeah, you
this,
told me
and
this.
this, and I
Yes.
try to get something else. What else can I give them that will, complement this reading and help
Yes,
them?
absolutely. So, do you see spirit like when you are doing mediumship work? Do you
Mhm.
see spirit? Is it more in third eye? Do you actually see souls? Do you get how do you experience the energy?
I experience the energy, so I'm clairaudient and clairsentient. So sometimes it's things that I just know, and it's like experiencing a thought that runs
Yeah.
alongside your own
Right.
that you know is clearly not yours. I could be
Yes.
thinking about this wonderful warm cup of coffee in front of me and how good it tastes and how happy I am today. And then all of a sudden, out of left field,
Yes, I get that.
I'm over in Ireland or something. You
Yes,
know what I
I get
mean?
the same thing. I
Um,
am also clairsentient, but you're also clairaudient, which is
yes,
clear hearing.
they're hearing. Yes.
So tell me how you experience that. Is it voices? Is it like what do you actually hear when they come
Um,
in?
it's it's a voice in the, I want to say, non-scary way. It's
Yeah,
someone speaking to you in your head, or I'll
right.
hear, or I say gifted, or I'm gifted I get a lot of communication through song.
Oh, yes, yes, I get that
So
too.
when
Yes.
that random thing pops into your head or something that
Yeah,
sounds like it, sometimes it's part of a deciphering process where I am, I'll say the song and then I'll think to if I know the artist, I'll
what
think
is it?
about the artist, and it could just be
Yes,
the artist's first name or maybe even a last name. And they go, oh my God, that
yeah,
was ba 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 ba, and they come out with a whole
right,
story. So it's always worth mentioning. The thing that gets your attention is
right.
what you need to say. So, but
Yes.
there have been times where now I feel that this is still something that I'm developing as I go.
Hmm.
Because, sometimes when you're sitting, you're having a moment by yourself, and, I sense things. I feel a presence, an energetic
Hmm.
presence.
Hmm.
So I think sometimes when you get a little like, oh, when you're home by yourself,
Yeah,
sometimes you shut it down and then you're like,
yes,
okay, wait a minute, I'm a child of
yes,
God, I'm protected by the
yes,
light. And you
yes.
just settle into it. But I feel the presence and I can feel what it is and what it is not. And that's how I
Absolutely.
home
And
in.
that's discernment. Even when I started channeling the angel realm, I would
Mhm.
not work with guides until I knew what angel energy felt like. Once I
Yes.
did that high vibration, I could discern the difference. Okay, if guide energy comes in, it feels different. It's a little human, it's a little
Mhm.
deeper. And then I also knew if it was not what I wanted because I could feel it in my body. So
Yes.
because working with the angels for so long, I only entertained positive energy or sacred divine energy, either guides or angels.
Hmm.
So that probably that's why I don't want to really work with people that have crossed over for that reason, because the energy is just different. It's a little different,
Hmm.
so it's not what I felt comfortable doing. But yeah, it felt different to me, and I know like the vibration is very high, and once you use it a lot, you can kind of tell like if something's not
Yes.
positive.
Yes, yes. And then
Yeah.
if you ever get that feeling, I know this is something you know already, you can just shut it down. You know what
Yes.
I mean? Or
Tell them
you
it's not
recite,
welcome.
yeah, exactly. Only light is welcome. I'm a child of God. I walk in the
Yeah.
light of God. And God can be, it's not religion specific.
No. No.
I always say if all the churches were to cease
Yeah.
to exist, it does not mean God, creator. It doesn't mean you're not loved. It doesn't mean you can't
Right.
worship in your heart, in your
That's
home,
right.
out in the forest. That's God's home too. You don't
God's
need
home.
four walls,
That's right.
So you're always protected.
Yeah.
You're always guided in all the best ways. And you can just quite simply say, I do not allow.
Yes.
I do not allow, I do not consent. And that's it. That's the end of it. You cut it
Yeah.
off.
That's it. People don't realize that it is in their power and their free will. And
Mhm.
I've had, some clients say, they felt they're being attacked or this or that. I'm like, you know what? If you know you're strong in this light of God, you're boring to anything that's dark. Nothing wants to
Yes.
attach to you if you're walking in that boundary of I'm held by
Mhm.
God and I'm in light. Like we're too boring. I'm too boring.
Yeah.
Like they're going to go to someone more exciting. That's not on the same path as me. But yeah, and I think people need to know that in this realm,
Hmm.
this is the realm of human, and we can, it's not the realm of, let's say, a discarnate spirit can't come in and enter you without your permission,
Right.
basically, like a ghost energy or someone that hasn't crossed over,
Hmm.
they can't affect you unless you're allowing it. So allowing
Right.
could be not being resonating with light, not setting your intention, allowing
Yes.
any old thing to come in, sitting in a graveyard playing with tarot cards, whatever.
Right. Right. Yeah. It
It's
depends
what
on
you're
your,
aligned with.
yes, your vibration, your alignment.
Yeah.
And by you simply saying, I don't, maybe there's something in your life that you're doing that maybe you're having a lot of negative thoughts or you're constantly
Yes.
doubting yourself. Anger,
Yes.
negativity, and doubt carry a certain
Yes. They
vibration, just like
do.
positivity does. And it doesn't mean you can't have bad days. Of course you can. Just do all the
Yes.
things that make you feel spiritually protected. Carry your crystals, carry a
Yeah.
good thought in your head, listen to music that
Yes.
is
Say
more
a prayer.
uplifting in a manner that you can
Hmm.
accept at that moment. It doesn't mean you have to listen
Yes.
to, pop or
Yeah,
whatever,
right.
this is supposed to be happy as you're crying. It's whatever helps get you to where you need to be,
Love
elevates
that.
you mentally and then subsequently
Yeah.
physically, spiritually. Mhm.
I love that. I love that. So, how can people contact you the best way? How would they find you the best way? I know that you said only local people for massage, and
Right.
I think that's the Warren County area of New Jersey.
Yes.
And your mediumship work, and that how would they contact you for that the best way?
For mediumship, the best way is to reach out to me via my phone number, which I have on business cards. It's all over. It's on my Facebook page. It's 908-283-3553.
Okay, I'm going to add that when I I'm going to put this in the description and the name of your
Okay.
business and this, so people
Yes.
can contact you for that when they're ready.
Yes. And the name of the business is Luminosa Mediumship Massage and Sound.
Love that. Love that. Okay. Well, this has been the Lightwalker's Path. If you want to reach out to Michelle, you can look in the informational section of my video. And you can reach out to me for workshop sessions and books, also keynote speaking. So thank you so much, Michelle. You've been a delight.
Thank you,
I
Rosemary.
love talking to you.
Same.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.